Let me get on the screen. Good morning. Good morning. What's going on, everybody? What is happening? Let me get some things straight on this Victory Monday. All right, let's get the thumbnail up here. There we go. All right, perfect. All right, so welcome into this Victory Monday. The Browns are starting off the week well. This is what we want. Now, I was one of those people. I was skeptical of the Browns going into this week, but the Browns had other plans. The Browns said this.
Put some respect on my name. You understand me? When y'all saying my name, put some respect on it.
That's what the Browns said. Put some respect on it. All right, welcome in to Eliminate the Gray with Offtharecorddee, where real sports talk live. Each week, I break down the biggest stories in sports, giving you honest takes and fueled by logic, life experience, and time spent in team sports. No hot takes for clicks, just real perspective. I call it how I see it, whether it's breaking down a big game or calling out the media for how they spin the story. If you want sports talk with no agenda, you're in the right place. Shout out to y'all for being here. Now, just going to promo a few things to start off the show, just so y'all know what I got going on. All right, so I go live. Sundays for Browns game, as everybody knows from being here yesterday. I also go live on Mondays where we recap what happened in the game. I go live on Wednesdays. On Wednesdays, we're breaking down the next opponent. We're also looking at some PFF grades and getting into some different stats. Sometimes I show all 22 footage if there's just some egregious things. This week, I already know 3 plays that I want to show on the all 22. So we got those set for Wednesday. Tuesdays, I've added Tuesday mornings. I do about 45 minutes to an hour, pretty quick live stream. And on Tuesdays, this is what I'm speaking about. Let's get it up so y'all can see it. All right. So we always heard the best QBs or the QBs, top QB is going to be in 2026. So with that, I took that as a challenge. I said, you know what? I'm going to keep those receipts. I'm going to be the person that every week I break down all the film. And I'm about 60% done. We're breaking down the film. I got a couple guys game tape I got to watch this evening to be all set for tomorrow morning. But I break down the top QBs from college, and I put them in order based on their performance, based on how they handle pressure. I take into consideration the level of talent that they're playing against, not just, this Arch Manning threw for 700 yards and 7 touchdowns against community college. I'm going to put him number 1. Nope, not the case. So you want to tune into that tomorrow morning. Like, comment, subscribe so you can be notified when I go live to speak about the college quarterbacks. Good morning, Beast. Good morning, Beast. Shout out to you for being here. Let's get something else. All right. Also, Eliminate the Gray. This is my podcast. So I do longer live streams. So you can catch me anywhere you listen to podcasts, Apple Music, Spotify, just wherever you listen to podcasts. These are available as podcast episodes as well, just to let you know. But let's get to the reason why we are here. So the Cleveland Browns, Beast, as well as myself, thought this game was going to be a blowout. We thought the Browns really had no shot. We correctly called that the Browns offense wouldn't do much. It didn't do much at all. Joe Flacco somehow looked worse in a win than he did in the last 2 games. We're going to get to that a little bit later. But the Browns defense did the one thing that could turn the game. They keep the game close, and they got the turnover that put them in a position to score because they knew that the Browns offense couldn't really get them in a position to score. So that's what they did. Now, there are going to be some people this week that say, you got to keep Joe Flacco as a starter. I knew people were going to say that. During the end of my live stream yesterday, I called it. I said, man, this means we got Joe Flacco for another week. I knew it. This is the problem with that thinking. Joe Flacco was so bad yesterday. If you accepted yesterday, are you going to accept that level of play moving forward from Joe Flacco? We're going to get to that later on in the show. But first, let's get to how many more games do you think Joe Flacco will have if he do bad the next 3 games? I think that'll be it. I think Joe Flacco is week to week. Next 2 games. What are our next 2 games? Next 2 games we have Detroit, and then we go to London, I believe, versus Minnesota. That's it. I think it's almost. I don't think Joe Flacco is playing well. I don't know if he knows how to get himself out of this rut. So he has 2 weeks to do it, and I don't think he could do it in those next 2 weeks. I think there's no way if we lose these next 2 games, Kevin Stefanski can march up there and say Joe Flacco gives us the best chance to win. And we are going to hear people say that. That takes us right into the first clip that we're going to have today. This is the first clip. This is yesterday's press conference. This is Kevin Stefanski being asked if Joe Flacco is going to stay in at quarterback, and we're going to get to his answer. Let's get his answer here.
Who's they?
I saw you call.
Yeah, he said it was a good call. Yeah.
Even though it was a tough game for Joe in the offense, you're sticking with Joe going forward.
Yes.
Kevin, when you don't score or really move the ball that great until the last 4 minutes, what changed? I know there are 2 Quinshon runs, but what felt like it changed there?
The field position. You know,
All right. Shout out to him for being honest. The field position is the only thing that changed. The defense is not going to be able to save them all the time. Beast, I agree with you. So this is a repeat of 2023. If you look up the Browns' defensive stats to start that year, the defense was winning games, special teams was winning games. The Browns' offense was not that good in 2023. When Joe Flacco came in and played those last 6 games, they put up points, but the rest of the season, those first 11 games, it was not like that. The defense was better, but eventually the defense gave way and the special teams would help out. So you can't expect your defense to play close to perfect every week and rely on that. You got to give them something as an offense. And you hear here, Kevin Stefanski says, oh, the difference was field position. And he also says he's sticking with Joe Flacco. Hey, that's cool. Stick with Joe Flacco. Just remember, you're the one making the decisions. And now when you make the decisions, we get to criticize and critique those decisions as you make them. Now, it's going to be people in Cleveland radio. I told y'all 2 weeks ago that they was going to say Joe Flacco give us the best chance to win. This is what Cleveland radio hosts are saying as early as 2 hours ago. Let's get to it.
Boy, I know what I said in the third quarter. You got to go back to Joe Flacco now.
Yeah, well, I have been consistent in saying to stay with Joe Flacco, that he does give you the best chance to win. Even though he is 40 years old, he's clearly not the same player he was, 3, 4, 5 years ago. But I still believe he gives you the best chance to win. He handled that. He talked about it after the game. I mean, that was a mentally taxing game. They could not get anything going offensively. And when it mattered the most, they got it done. It wasn't pretty, but it was effective. And the number one takeaway for me is this defense is not a fluke. That is a Super Bowl contender, as you guys have been talking about this morning, that they took down, that they limited to just 10 points. They were sending conga lines at Myles Garrett to try and slow him down. That in and of itself was amusing, and they still couldn't do it. The pressure that the Browns defense.
Now, you would think I'm making this stuff up. It's right. They are still saying this. They are still saying Joe Flacco gives them the best chance to win when he's missing reads. He's not letting the ball go. He is the thing that's causing the offense to not move. So you need to be able to run the ball to get the offense to move, and then to open up the run, you need to get deep passes. He's missing when Kevin Stefanski does scheme up a deep pass. He's taking a check down, and that's what they're doing. Shout out to you, Zedric. Now, when I say stuff, you'll get people that they push back on some of the stuff I say, but then I look at these people and I realize they don't know that much about football. So it's a little bit more we're going to listen, and I'm going to flip exactly what they say on his head.
It's a front applied to Jordan Love all game, and he was destined to make a mistake, and they got him to make one at the most critical time, and kudos to Grant Delpit for actually catching the football, because I'm not used to seeing Browns players in the secondary catch footballs when they're thrown in their general direction.
It was such a stupid pass. I don't know why I don't know why they even did it in the first place to throw. I mean, you run the ball out of there, you think about it, it's a 7, like you punt out of there. Like they haven't put the ball down the field the whole game. And if you run the ball and even it gets, we got stopped, it's 4th and 1, you punt out of there. I still think the game's over. Tone, you agreed with me. I hate to be ultra-conservative like that, but it's the truth. It's just the truth.
Yeah, had they have not even run a play and just punted on 3rd down, they would have won the game.
Yeah, probably. Absolutely.
What were they doing?
They got greedy.
I'll take it.
And the greed got them. And again, I can't remember the last time I saw a Browns team in crunch time, in the final 3 minutes of a game, execute as flawlessly in all 3 phases the way that team did yesterday. I mean, the first 56 and a half minutes were just pure garbage, okay, outside of the defensive performance. But that final 3 minutes and 37 seconds was a thing of beauty. I mean, imagine if the Browns could do that for 60 minutes, Ken.
It'd be amazing. Well, then we wouldn't lose a game, and we'd be all getting rings ready and all the other stuff and planning booking trips out to Santa Clara.
You guys be just doing Super Bowl, Super Browns all morning.
The thing that I would think of is that, in LaFleur's defense of anything, it's like, well, you got a good quarterback back there. Burn their last time out. Still, what's it all mean? Am I evaluating the kiddos or am I not evaluating the kiddos? Are we wasting time? But when it came to that, it's like, if we're not going to win games, we might as well evaluate the kids, and then they win the game, and now I'm like, well, we're right back in.
Zedric, you're so right, and we're going to get to that. He's about to say something. I'm going to flip it on his head. Then we're actually going to look at Joe Flacco's PFF grades from yesterday in the passing game. So you are right on top of it.
You gotta go with the veteran until the wheels officially fall off, because you got veterans in that locker room. You can't just pull a guy after you win. That sends a terrible message, especially after your whole message is complete team win after that game.
Yeah, and again, I've said this with you guys. I've said it on other shows. Dillon, to your point, I don't believe that Dillon Gabriel gives you a better chance to win football games. And to me, it's too early in the season to be running up the white flag. Because once you go to Gabriel, that's the point of no return. You've raised the white flag, and you're telling everyone, to your point, this is about evaluating the young quarterback or young quarterbacks if Shedeur ultimately sees the field at some point this year.
So it took a while for him to get there, to finally say it. So in their eyes, waving the white flag is you going from Joe Flacco to Dillon Gabriel. Now, first it was Dillon Gabriel's a supercomputer in the offseason. Dillon Gabriel processing. Dillon Gabriel's so ahead of Shedeur. All these things. Now we starting to hear, man, it's waving the white flag if Dillon Gabriel go out there. We don't want to put him out there. We want to find a good landing spot, a soft spot in the schedule that we can put him out there. They're doing a lot of shuffling. They are dancing all over the place with what they actually are saying when it comes to Dillon Gabriel from offseason until now. But the other thing is, look at how frustrated Myles Garrett was after last week. And he knows that frustration was mainly based on the offense, but he put it on the defense. How many games can you keep throwing in? How many games can you keep throwing in Joe Flacco and before the defense just turned on you? How many games? Because I think that's the flip side of what they're saying. Is waving the white flag and trying to find somebody better. They don't believe in Dillon Gabriel, and that was Kevin Pick. You are correct, Beast. If you just don't look at what they say about these people. Look at what they actually do. So every other position on the field, no matter you're rookie or vet, they will change you out if you are not playing well. Look at how many changes we've already seen on the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns have swapped out tackles. The Cleveland Browns were swapping out DeJuan Jones and another tackle versus Baltimore. The Cleveland Browns went back and started DeJuan Jones before he got hurt on the right side. So we're willing to move those guys around. The Cleveland Browns went from a couple days. I agree. Beaks, you're on top of it. They know if they go out there and fail, they're going to have to push Shedeur, and they don't want that. That's exactly it. Also, Kevin Stefanski has been dodging all the hits like the Matrix. It's all going to fall back on him. Always. It's always going to fall back on him this year because he wanted Dillon Gabriel. Okay, you got Dillon Gabriel. And to me, it seems like Kevin Stefanski wanted Gabriel, Andrew Berry wanted Shedeur. Those two picks are going to determine those two guys' job. So if Kevin Stefanski finally gets to Dillon Gabriel, he stinks it up, looks like he shouldn't be on the NFL field, it's going to be real easy to get rid of Kevin and say he can't even evaluate quarterbacks when we let him pick from everybody in the draft. Shedeur goes out there, balls out, turns this thing around, brings some excitement. They're going to say, hey, Andrew Berry, he even took Shedeur after he let Kevin have his pick. So their jobs are tied to those two picks. But the Browns will bench any player except for Joe Flacco. Jerome Ford hasn't been that productive. I saw Jerome Ford snaps go way down. I saw Quinshon Judkins snaps go way up. Quinshon is a rookie. Mason Graham snaps. He's a rookie. Carson Schlesinger, he's a rookie. Miles Harden, second-year player, 7th round. Cam Mitchell, undrafted free agent last year. They put them in, they take them out. So on the defensive side of the ball, they can work with rookies and young players, and they can develop them and teach them things so they're getting better from week to week on the defensive side of the ball. On the offensive side of the ball, we can move everybody around on the offense, but you cannot move the quarterback who is doing nothing. How does that make sense? This is where you clearly see there is another reason for not making the change. It's another reason. It's not based on performance. It's based on performance everywhere else except the quarterback. Look at what they've been doing to the offensive line. Look at what they've been doing to the defensive line. Moving guys around, giving guys opportunities, but not with quarterback. Now let's show you what they are defending, because a question you always got to ask yourself is, what is somebody actually defending? And what they are defending is hot garbage. So let's get to Joe Flacco's PFF grades, because sometimes when you just hear, oh, you know, they defending the guy, you got to see what they actually defended. So this is Joe Flacco. This is from yesterday's game. This is his passing grades. So he was 21 of 36, 58% completion, 142 yards, 3.9 yards attempt. He's not even throwing the ball 5 yards. 3.9 yards attempt. So to Zedric's point, he can't throw the ball deep. He did have that failed punt interception thing they did that made no sense. And he was sacked 2 times. Time to throw 2.54 seconds. Where's his QBR? I want to see his QBR. Let me pull up his QBR real quick, because I know his QBR had to be trash yesterday. They don't have it on PFF, so that's okay. We're going to switch out. We're going to grab his QBR real quick. This is what they're defending. So the same way you can lose the team if you go to a rookie, you don't think you can lose the team by putting somebody out there who's clearly not getting it done? The Browns scored 13 points. 13 points. And this is the guy who leads that offense that they want to say, man, you got to keep him out there. So when Joe Flacco does the same thing next week against Detroit, and if the Browns lose, I don't want to hear none of them saying, man, we got to bench him, we got to find something different. No, because you are defending him. He had a QBR of 40, and he had a quarterback rating of 55. Just all hot garbage. Now, Jordan Love wasn't that much better. Jordan Love was 18 to 25, 183 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception, sacked 5 times, QBR 44, rated 89. Those two quarterbacks playing very similar numbers. Which one would you take? Which one would you take? So that's them defending garbage. Now let's get to Kevin, because I think Kevin Stefanski is on the hot seat. That's why he's showing a little bit more emotion. Now, let's look at Kevin as a motivator. Now, you just won this game. Yep, that's exactly what I think. Do you think Kevin going to lose the locker room if he don't make a switch? Yes, that's exactly what I think. I think they can ride off the good vibes of one more week. So to me, it seems like Kevin is the one who wanted. Let me read it for the podcast people. Was it just Stefanski that wanted Flacco back? To me, it seems that way. It seems like Andrew Berry wanted to take a shot with Kenny Pickett. Now, if you just look at the style of QB that each of these guys like, Joe Flacco, Dillon, Gabriel, those fit more. Stefanski, a quarterback that kind of moves around and has some ability to run an RPO. That's more so Andrew Berry style of quarterback, it seems like. So that's how I would split it. But he got one more week. They lose to Detroit, just like you saying, oh, they 1-2, 1-3. What do you mean he on the hot seat? I think he's on the hot seat with fans. I think fans are ready to just throw in the towel on this season if Kevin Stefanski does not turn it around. If you look at the stadium yesterday, a ton of Green Bay Packer fans there. So once other teams' fans start taking over your stadium when you're at home, that's the first sign of things are bad. Then people are going back into last year, looking how bad it was. You only won 3 games. Now people are questioning it. Now this is going to mask it for a little bit, but to any person who watched that game, you know that the offense was trash. And you know that Kevin Stefanski runs the offense. And then you just contrast the offense to the defense and you say, okay, this doesn't make sense. So he's on the hot seat with fans. He definitely, it seems like he has more wiggle room with the ownership in Cleveland. But to fans, they are saying, hey, he ain't cutting it. He's not getting better. We're not seeing guys get developed. So now here, is this a guy you're going to believe in? Let's just see.
Lucky are we? How lucky are we to play the greatest team sport there is? And we know this. We need everybody. We need the offense. We need the defense. We need the special teams, and that's what makes us a team. I told you last week there's a good team lurking here, right? That was a good team you just beat, okay? And we beat them because we stuck together. We stuck together like we always do. I could give out, and I will give out a lot of game balls, but I'm going to give out a few right now, okay? Yeah. I'm going to start right here, okay? There's so many things I love about football.
I don't know, man. I've been around a lot of coaches. Look how Miles is looking at him. The owner's right back there. You don't see the owner just looking at him. They enjoying this win, but they not really they not hyped. If Green Bay had 21 points, they would have won because Browns can't score more than 17. You are correct, Beast. The Browns haven't scored more than 20 points since week 9 or 10 last year, so something crazy. The Browns can't put up 21. They can't put up 20 points. So now I just thought that was funny when I was watching that, but no buy-in at all. You see it, Zedric. You caught that. They just looking at him. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're happy that the win is there, but they just looking at him like it's on the brink. How is this going to look in a week if they lose? So I just wanted to show that. He's about to give out some game balls. We're not going to watch that. But the question for y'all is, who y'all giving the game ball to? So I went Victory Monday. Who are y'all giving the game ball to? Now, it's too many players on the defense that you can get a game ball to. So I would give the game ball to the defense. The entire defense I would give the game ball to. Then, so I'm going to give out 3. I would give them to the entire defense. I would give them to the kicker, Andre Smith. and I would give it to Quinshon Judkins. That's who I would give the 3 game balls to. Shout out to you, Kyler. Judkins carried that whole offense. I agree. All right, Beast, you said Myles Garrett. Zedric, you said Quinshon for sure. Yeah, so once you start looking at who you give game balls to, would anybody give a game ball to Joe Flacco? Nobody would give a game ball to Joe Flacco. So if you wouldn't even give him a game ball, how are you defending him saying, oh, man, this guy, he has to stay the starter? So one thing I will say with Quinshon is a very physical runner. 3 weeks ago, before the season started, everybody was out on Quinshon. Quinshon got his off-the-field stuff cleared up as much as he could to this point, and now he is balling out. Right, Kyler, nobody's giving it to Flacco. Nobody at all. Beast, nobody. Zedric, nobody's giving it to Flacco. So, but that's our starting quarterback, I guess. So, y'all see it. Y'all see what the thing is. One thing that I realized, so when I was like thinking about my show and thinking about what I was going to go over today, what I was going to talk about, one thing I said I wasn't going to do, I wasn't going to overlook the fact that the Browns won because there's been so much losing. So I was like, look, I'm going to start this thing off positive. I'm going to enjoy the victory. I'm going to enjoy the victory Monday because last year it got bad. We lost the last 8 weeks. It was trash. So I said, you know what? I'm going to enjoy this thing. And once we enjoyed the victory, now we are all just like Myles Garrett. Y'all see him on the screen. You see how he looking at Kevin Stefanski? That is how we are looking at this Browns offense. We looking at this Browns offense sideways like, what are you going to do? When are you going to back us up? When are you going to bring something to the table? When are you going to make a difference? So I think Wednesday's episode is going to be very interesting. Wednesday, we're really going to get to look at the All-22 and see how bad the offense was. And we're also going to get to see what they did because Micah Parsons was not able to wreck this game. And I don't know if y'all remember this. I can't remember at what point in the game it was. Quinshon Judkins was in the backfield. They sent him out of the backfield to chip Micah Parsons. He got Micah Parsons right on his rib. Micah went down. Micah was mad afterwards. He was pointing at Quinshon. Quinshon didn't care. And that's what I want to see. Besides Quinshon, who else on the offense would you say made an imprint on the game? Zedric, I agree with you. I think Myles wants him going. Just tolerated him at this point. I agree. I totally agree. Do the Lions have a good defense? It's hard to say if the Lions have a good defense. The Lions, they put up a lot of points on Chicago. Chicago beat Dallas. I think we'll be able to determine what the Lions defense is. The Lions play tonight. They play Baltimore. So Baltimore can put up points. So I think it's hard to say if they have a good defense tonight. But tomorrow, I have a better answer for you, Beast. I have a better answer for you. Because the Lions open the year versus Zedric, I agree with you about Fannin. The Lions opened the year against Green Bay, and they lost. And then they played Chicago, and they put up 52. And now they play Baltimore tonight. So tonight will tell us if the Lions have a good defense, and we'll kind of gauge it from there. I know the Lions are a team that's always looking for more pass rushers, so I don't know how much they get after the quarterback. Bond looked good despite them using him totally wrong. Facts. So they have to start giving him more routes in the route tree. Them just using him for fake jet sweeps and just putting him in motion, having him get cardio, and then those little bubble screens they're throwing him. That doesn't keep the defense honest. When you have a speed guy, you got to get that speed guy routes. You got to give him option routes. You got to give him routes where he can get to the top, not just verticals either. Because a lot of people think like, oh, just verticals because he's fast. No, verticals if he's one-on-one or if they're in cover 3 and you have him in the inside. If he's on the outside and they're in cover 3, cover 4, you run vertical, that's just wasted. That's a wasted play for him. So you got to move him around. You got to have him doing some deep outs coming across the field like he did on the flea flicker that Joe Flacco didn't throw him the ball. So they got to work on these route trees and how they pair it together. That's another reason why the offense is struggling. The offensive struggle, a lot of it is systematic with, like you said, how they're using players. The rest of it is Joe Flacco is not reading the field. That was the one thing they said. They said, oh, man, Joe Flacco, he's seen every defense. He's going to be able to read the field. He's going to be able to, he's seen every defense. Joe Flacco looks confused. Stefanski is okay with Flacco right now because even with the way they won, KS gets the credit. Oh, yeah, I agree. If they lose this game, just a hypothetical, if they lose this game, they bench Joe Flacco. They lose this game. They don't even have a choice. They don't even have a choice. They bench him. Kevin Stefanski is showing more outward emotion. He's fighting for his life. Yeah, I watched him at Texas. That's why I said they're using him wrong. They're using him wrong because you can anytime they get guys one-on-one, and this is even with Jerry Jeudy. They get guys one-on-one, they got them running 7 and 8 yard routes. Just think about a guy with that level of speed. If you could develop just a fade route with him, you know what I'm saying? Where they think you're going deep, and then it's a back shoulder throw. They can eat if they ran that style of route with him. So it's a bunch of routes he can run. They got to put him in some mesh concepts where guys, when they identify guys are in cover one and not having him on the outside, have him on the inside, have him running a mesh route where teams got to try to keep up with him running across the field because they're in cover one. So it's a lot of different ways you can use him. Just look at Xavier Worthy before he got injured. Look at how Kansas City used him. They don't just throw him on the outside. No. Are they using any of their receivers correctly right now, though? Zedric, you are right. That's going to be a no. Good morning, Ms. Brown. They're not using any wide receivers right. A lot of it is, for some reason, they don't feel comfortable. They don't feel comfortable with one-on-one matchups. They don't feel comfortable with one-on-one matchups. So when they get guys one-on-one on the outside, they don't want to throw the ball. Now let's get to you, Kyler. The question, if they're rolling with Joe, can he make those throws, though? Physically, I think Joe can make some of these throws. Mentally, I think that is what is getting to Joe Flacco. The mental strain of the position, defenses throwing wrinkles in at him. I don't think he can see it when it's happening. Like the flea flicker, if you're gonna run a flea flicker, you are always looking deep first. You got to look at your first two reads are gonna be deep, and then you come back to the check down in case of emergency. You never read it. You never read a flea flicker play from check down too deep. You always reading it deep first, and then you are going to your check down. He went right to the check down when Isaiah Bond was running right across the field. Do I think physically he can make that throw? Yeah, physically he can make it. Mentally, I think he's not willing to do it for whatever reason. Whatever the hang up is, he's not willing to let the play unfold. And that's where you would say, okay, we probably gotta go to somebody else. We gotta go to somebody who is at least willing to attempt when we scheme guys open. And he is not at that point. He's not at that point. So let me find something for y'all. So CBS had a good assessment of the game. Let me get to it real quick. So sometimes when you look at a lot of stuff locally, you can kind of end up in, what is it called? An echo chamber. And when it's somebody who doesn't always cover your team, let's see. When it's somebody who doesn't always cover your team, they just cover it based on what they see. So let's get to CBS.
Surprising result between the
All right, let's get this up on the screen for y'all.
Packers and the Browns take you to the 27 seconds left in the fourth quarter. We're tied at 10. Brandon McManus tries from 43, but it's blocked. The Browns jump on it. And how about that? Taking a look at it, slow motion. It is no good. So same score, 2 seconds left. Andre Schmidt, 55 yards out. Remember week 1, he smoked a couple. This one is good. And the Browns stun the Packers 13-10 the final. Joe Flacco fired up. Micah Parsons, not so much. Take a listen.
This is all part of adversity. Undefeated seasons, like, they're hard. Let's be real. And sometimes, just like today, that's just the reality of it. Like, it happens to the best teams. You know what I mean? Even the best Super Bowl champs make mistakes, and they pay for it early. You know what I mean? You go back to the history of the champions and who they played and games they should have won. It's just part of being natural. It's that competitive. It's that hard.
Let me stop it here. A lot of people are going to talk about what Micah Parsons said in this clip. What they are failing to realize is his teammate was talking about how they could go undefeated. This is basically him in the media telling his teammate, hey, you can't go out here and talk about we going to go undefeated. They pulled the clip. The Browns posted it to their social media where his teammate was saying this. So everybody is going to jump on Micah Parsons for saying this, but in this clip, Micah is calling out his teammate like, hey, you can't put that level of target on our back. Raul is back. Yeah, 1-16, that'll be tough. 1-16, nobody stays, everybody goes. But I want to get to when CBS breaks this down.
Like, it's hard as hell to win football games. So when you win football games, it's a celebration, but when you lose, it sucks.
I guess that makes sense. He probably feels better losing this than losing the game that the Cowboys did that we'll talk about in a minute, but I digress. We showed you the good on.
Packers probably needed a game like this. I agree, Zedric. They definitely needed a game like this. This is where you kind of get on that high horse, and I'll see if I can find the clip, but it was the Packers, I think it was a Packers offensive lineman who was coming out saying, oh, yeah, we can go undefeated. And you got to – man, it's 3 weeks into the year. You talking about going undefeated? That's just a wrong message. So Micah is calling out when his teammates there. A lot of people are going to report that wrong this week.
Sunday. So now we're pivoting to the bad guys. And when we talk about the Packers, Pete, you've loved this team. This is your Super Bowl representation for the NFC. In your opinion, what went wrong for them today?
The offense. The offense was terrible. And they got brutalized. The quarterback got brutalized up front. The offensive line was awful. He got sacked 5 times. He got hit many more times. And his 2 longest completions were he had the 1 shot down the field to Golden, but he had a dink that Jacobs turned into a long play. They don't throw the ball down the field. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that they're getting pressure up front. And if they can't protect Jordan Love, he's not going to be able to make those throws down the field. They got to be better on the offensive line, or else it's going to be a season-long problem.
Yeah, I think.
So when I was listening to this, when I heard that, I was like, man, he's actually describing the Browns as well. So Joe Flacco can't get anything upfield. He's not looking for it. He can't take any deep shots. They get pressure right up the middle. And actually, out of the 2, Jordan Love had a way better game than Joe Flacco did. So if Jordan Love and the Packers can't win that way, and they got more weapons than the Browns, more creative coach than the Browns, how can the Browns win this way? So that's why when you go outside of just that local the local think chamber and that echo chamber where how people view things, sometimes an outside voice, they just say it so clear and succinct. Let's hear the next guy.
Pete's right. It definitely was the offense that lost in this game. But as I'm looking at the stats, I mean, they were 10 for 18 on 3rd down compared to Cleveland's 4 of 13. They controlled time of possession. They had the ball for 34 minutes to Cleveland's 25 minutes. So what does that tell me? There's leaks and breakdowns in your offensive game plan. Yes, you can convert on 3rd down, but if you can't turn it into points, that doesn't really matter. You talk about Jordan Love getting sacked as many times as he did. Well, let's talk about the run game. I mean, Josh Jacobs had 16 carries for 30 yards, average of 1.9 a carry, and this is one of the best backs in the league. So this is a huge letdown from the offense. But we have to give a lot of credit to the Browns because with everything that I just said, them being on the flip side of that, they found a way to win. And I want to give a special shout out to Quinshon Judkins because he has just injected himself into this offense, and he looks like he's already been in the league for some time. I mean, I remember I said around draft time, I think Quinshon Judkins may be more ready for the NFL style of play than Travion Henderson. And what we've seen so far between the 2 backs in the season, one game for Quinshon Judkins looks a lot better than what Travion Henderson has been able to put out so far.
I'll say this, and this may be.
I like what they said, and they get that shout out to Quinshon there. Kyler, who would you want to replace Stefanski if and when they fire him? That's a good question. Being this early in the season and not knowing who's going to get fired, who's not going to be there, I could more so describe the prototype of coaches I want. How many coaches have the Browns had? Like in the history or since like 1999 when they came back? Yeah, Beast, let me know. Let me know which one you're talking about in the history, or if you're talking about since '99. Even since '99, they had a bunch. But back to your question, Kyler, who would you want to replace Stefanski? It's so early in the year, you don't know all what coaches are not going to make it through the season and who would be available. This is what I want. I can tell you the type of coach I want. I want a coach who is going to be a head coach. What we're seeing a lot of the struggles at, we're seeing a lot of coaches who either want to call defense or call offense, and they're breaking down. Oh, since 99. Since 99. Let's check it out. I can look it up for you. Dang, Google already got a thing for it. All right, let's go through the list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is the Browns' 12th coach since 99. So on average, coaches get about 2 years in Cleveland. But this is really skewed because Kevin Stefanski has been here for about 6 years. A lot of these coaches had one year, 1 or 2 years. So, yeah, but just a bunch of coaches. All right, back to what I would want. So what I would want in a coach is I want a coach that's going to be the leader and is going to run the overall show. And I want an offensive coordinator and I want a defensive coordinator. And I don't want the coach that is doing half duty head coach, half duty offense, half duty defense. If you just look across the league, coaches who are taking on that dual role, they're not doing good. They're not doing good. D'Amico Ryans should have won Coach of the Year when Kevin Stefanski won his second one. He's calling the defense. They can't get their defense. They can't get their offense right. You look at Mike McDaniels. He's calling the offense. Their team is in shambles. He probably gonna get fired this year. Look at the Jets and Aaron Glenn. So you just go around the list. Yeah, you can call out the Sean McVays and the Matt LaFleur's and the Andy Reids. You can call out the guys at the height of it, but for the most part, teams that are flailing, their coaches aren't doing it. In my opinion, they need to get away from the stereotypical no-energy NFL coach. My bot got you, but I'm going to read it. In my opinion, they need to get away from the stereotypical no-energy NFL coach, and they should consider a high-energy young college coach that's not scared of anything. I like the basis of what you're saying. I like that. Because you look at like the retreads. Like, I don't want to retread. You know, I want a coach that's going to determine the type of offense they run. So in a perfect world, say this is going to be a crazy hypothetical because she asked me who I want. I want Mike Tomlin. So if the Steelers don't have a good year or they get rid of Mike Tomlin, I want Mike Tomlin. I want Mike Tomlin to run the show well, and then I know Mike Tomlin's going to go get an offensive coach. I don't want Mike Tomlin to get a non-creative offensive coach. I want, if I could put together my staff, it would be Mike Tomlin as a head coach. I would keep Jim Schwartz as the defensive coordinator, and I would go after Mike McDaniels as the offensive coordinator. That would be a staff, the type of staff I would put together. I don't mind NFL head coach. I care more about the offensive coordinator being way more creative and just focusing on being creative. I don't want the young upstart offensive coordinator moving them into head coach. I don't want that. Give me a head coach that's had success and just probably needs to change the scenery, similar to when Andy Reid left Philly and then he went to Kansas City. Give me something like that. I can see why you would want the high-energy college coach, but I want the guy who's just going to run the show. I don't want the guy who's going to split his duties. So that would be my answer if I had to give an answer. I don't know who the upstart or who the up-and-coming guys are. coming out of college. Who do you like in college? I'm watching college offenses. The people who are going to be available in college, they're going to be coaches who basically been doing it for a long time, like a Dabo Swinney. I don't want Dabo Swinney as a coach. Would you want Dabo Swinney? I don't want Dabo. Then it's going to be he looked like he was so happy, but it's not going to work. You talking about Kevin Stefanski? Yeah, I don't want I don't want Dabo. I don't want some retread older college coach. Like you said, I like where you were going with the young mode of a college coach, but then you gotta say, okay, who do we like? Because most of the good offensive college coaches, they kind of went back and forth. They've been in the NFL a little bit, and they went back. You can say like a Steve Sarkisian. You can say Lane Kiffin. Will Stein. Where's Will Stein at? Where's he coaching at? Yeah, so I just want the head coach to be the head coach. I want the head coach to be the manager of everything. I want the head coach to be the face and the manager, and I don't want the Browns to keep going down the road where they're trying to, put the quarterback in front of the coach. And I want stability, but with that stability, I want a hierarchy. And it's hard to have a hierarchy when it's situations like this. OC at Oregon. Okay, got you. I'll look into him some more. I got to check out Dante Moore in Oregon, and then also I remember it's a running back in Oregon. I got to check out. I just got to check out Oregon whole team basically. I guess. Yeah, I got to check Oregon out. So I want the overall. I want the overall package when it comes to coach, but the split duty coach, I'm over that. I'm way past that. Because then think about this in a hierarchy. So if you're an offensive player and you're saying, hey, if you're a receiver, think about the receivers on the Cleveland Browns. And the receivers on the Cleveland Browns, and they're growing frustrated. Behind the scenes, you want to go talk to the head coach about how the offense is not working. You're going to be going to the same person. Zedric, I like Syracuse's head coach, Fran Brown. He has a way about him. Oregon doing things right as a whole. Yeah, Oregon is one of those schools that it's like a German engineered car. It's just gonna work. They've been doing it so long at a high level that's gonna work. So I agree with you about Oregon. I like Fran Brown. So when I'm breaking down my college film, the first game I was breaking down because it was the earliest game was that Clemson and Syracuse game. So I noticed that social media started to put more clips up of Fran Brown leading into that game. Just when he was saying he don't care about Vegas and all, I was just seeing more clips from him, and he's gonna be who he is. And if you're trying to get his guys in the portal, he's coming at you. So I started seeing those clips, and I was like, okay, I like this. Then I'm gonna tell you what I really like about something he did when they were playing Clemson. So Clemson's quarterback, Cade Klubnik, he does not handle pressure well. Pressure is not only when the defense is coming at you. Pressure is also when you're down a certain amount of points. Yeah, Klubnik ain't that guy, but when you're down a certain amount of points, that's pressure. So them going right up the field, Syracuse, and scoring on Clemson, then kicking the onside kick, and then going back up the field again and kicking a field goal, immediate pressure. Kirk Cignetti would be good if I had to pick an older guy. Yeah, hey, you deep in this because I don't know who Kirk Cignetti is. But I don't know. I don't follow college coaches as heavy. This is my first year really going outside of what I normally watch in college. So for the last, I would say, my whole life, I always follow Ohio State the closest. Then I started following Coach Prime at Jackson State. So those are the two places that I follow the closest until this year. I really started diving deeper into different college quarterbacks and different programs. Indiana head coach. Oh, I like him. I didn't know that was his name. I like Indiana's head coach. I like the turnaround. I forgot where he turned around before Indiana, but he turned around Indiana like snapping your fingers. He turned him around last year real quick, and I like his confidence. When you listen to him in press conferences, He's just calling what he sees. He's saying it how it is. I like the coach that don't dance around stuff. You know, that's why I like Fran Brown. That's why I like Coach Prime. I didn't even know that was Indiana coach's name, but I've seen him and heard of him, and I like his style. So I agree with you there. So that's the type of coaches I would look at. But when I'm watching that film, I'm really impressed with Fran Brown, especially with Syracuse. Nobody's expecting him to do anything. Also, another head coach I like, Georgia Tech's head coach. I really like Georgia Tech head coach because, of course, I watched them when they played Colorado. Then I watched them what they did to Clemson. So coaches that are going against like these top 8 quarterbacks that I'm breaking down the film on, of course, I'm going to see more from the coaches. So it's a couple coaches that I do like. Also, Indiana, Fernando Mendoza. Fernando Mendoza, if I'll give you all a sneak peek of tomorrow's episode, the last 2 weeks, this dude has 3 incompletions and has thrown for 10 touchdowns, no interceptions, and I believe he's ran for 1 touchdown last week. So they doing something up there. And Illinois was supposed to present a challenge. Illinois was ranked, I believe, number 9 going into that game. And I was breaking down that yesterday, and they doing some things. They are doing some things. And it's funny because the only reason why I started following Fernando Mendoza was because I was watching something on CBS, and CBS did a random mock draft, and they said, oh, the Browns could take Fernando Mendoza number 1 overall. And I was like, who? They was on to something. They were definitely on to something. So I don't think it's anything else I wanted from CBS. Let me double check. But that was some good conversation there. So shout out to y'all.
Be outlandish to some until you really look deep into it. I don't think Green Bay's played a defense like Cleveland's defense. No. I don't think they played a defense that is good schematically and has the level of talent. Looking at it, coming into this week, Cleveland's defense ranked first in total yards allowed per game, rushing yards per game, rushing yards per attempt, first down efficiency, and explosives allowed. You talked about Green Bay's offense and how stagnant they were. Green Bay's offense only had 230.
That Oregon-Indiana game should turn heads. I'm really excited for conference play. Like, I'm watching some of these games and I'm breaking down the film and I'm looking at, I don't know, Indiana playing Indiana State last week. I like what Indiana did because they just blew them out. It was never in doubt. But you got LSU. I got to break down that film later on tonight. You got LSU at Southeast Louisiana. It's another game I got to break down that I haven't done yet. But it's a blowout game. And I'm just like, you can't really get that much from it. But like Texas, once Texas get into that SEC play, we're going to see if they real or not. You see Miami, Carson Beck been balling out. Once he goes against that Florida defense, he don't look the same. So now we're going to get to really see what these guys are made of. I like if you put up 70 on a team that's not good, but when you play good on good, I want to see how you respond. When Clemson plays LSU, I want to see how they respond. Oregon, Penn State, Drew Aller. I'm not the biggest Drew Aller guy. When I break down his film, it's one throw a game. He's really, really good. So far, they've been the better team in all 3 games, and I'm starting to see highlight reel for his running backs and his receivers. So I want to see Drew Aller because the thing is, when it's good on good, you can't hide the quarterback. The quarterback got to make plays. The quarterback got to get things done. And that's what I want to see, because then I can see how they handle pressure. I can see how they handle adversity. I can see if they throw an interception in a close game, how they bounce back from it. That's the stuff you want to see from these quarterbacks. They can make throws. Making throws, they made this a big deal in this draft with, can Shedeur make all the throws? He makes all the throws necessary. Josh Allen probably has the strongest arm in the NFL. How many times is he throwing the ball 60 yards in the air? It's not that often. So making the throws is just it's a surface level thing that people say when they want to critique somebody. So when we start seeing this good on good, that's what I'm excited for. That's what I'm excited to start. That's what I'm excited to cover. The Big Ten adding, the Oregons, the USCs, those are going to be some great games, especially how those teams are built, because the Big Ten is known for like that power pro style, and you got some more high flying teams like Oregon, who Oregon will have a bunch of success against the Big Ten like 6 or 7 years ago because they would bring a level of speed to the game that the Big Ten wasn't ready for. But now the Big Ten is kind of caught up. Especially Ohio State had to catch up when they got Urban Meyer. They start adding a lot of speed. So just, I'm excited. I'm excited. That's when I'm really going to say, okay, this is the quarterback I'm kind of standing behind. I'll tell you one thing. People not going to like to hear this. They're not going to like to hear this. Lanoris Sellers is not the guy that I would take at the top of the draft next year. I know people love his athleticism, but just breaking down his film, he is going to be a 1 to 2 read quarterback if he comes out next year. They're going to have to cut the field in half for him to make things easier. I'm telling you, I would not. Mississippi State versus Tennessee. Now, I haven't watched as many other teams. Man, Kyler, are you saying Lanoris Sellers is the guy? I'm talking about, now, I'm going to make it clear what I'm saying. He is not the guy coming out this year. So I'm talking about at the end of this season, I would not take him with the top 5 pick. I would not take Lanoris Sellers after this season. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to be very clear. He has the athleticism. You would take, so if you were a team, if you were the Saints, if you were the Jets, if you were the Browns, you would take Lanoris Sellers with a top 5 pick coming into the 2026 draft? Ms. Brown, I think you might be a little bit behind us in the show. Yeah, Stefanski's not a good coach. No, he's not. Yeah, I got to get this clear, Kyler. Are you saying in 2026 you would take him 100%? Wow. All right. This is more of a tomorrow show, but that's okay. We gonna get to it because I'm enjoying this. So in his first game, I'm gonna tell you the things that I saw that I was like, okay. I saw the athleticism. I saw he can make the throws when the reads are simple, but his decision making and time and where he's at on the field, his awareness, he needs to step it up. So if you go back to his first game this year, when he took that sack in the end zone, he had a guy wide open in the flat. He didn't throw the ball to check down, just did not take the safety. He took the safety. Then when you look at him, when they get a little bit of pressure on him, I'm going to tell you very specifically what he does that I'm like, that's a question mark. When you get a little bit of pressure on him, he automatically turns into the athlete and wants to take off and is not reading the field no more. And that's because his athleticism has carried him and got him this far. So when you have a quarterback that's automatically ready to go and run, very similar to Sam Levitt, crazy athletic, they're ready to go. I'm not picking Carson Beck. I'm not a Carson Beck fan. You got to tap in on Tuesdays, man. Kyler, you got to tap in on Tuesdays. I'm not a Carson Beck fan. I got bias against Carson Beck. When you're a quarterback that goes and plays for Georgia, and when Georgia's at the height, winning national championships and such, and you can't get it done, I'm not a Carson Beck fan. If it was between those two, I would reluctantly take Lanoris Sellers, but I'm not a Carson Beck fan. I'm not a Carson Beck fan. So, but I'm breaking down the film. I'm actually watching all of his tape. I'm watching all these guys' tape. So I know that I know a lot of people just go through and they watch the highlights, but it's very specific. It's very specific things that these guys are doing that I'm seeing where I'm like, hey, I don't like that. Actually, I'm gonna bring up, just because we in this conversation. I don't need to put it on the screen, but I got like a running notes. Oh yeah, Miss Brown, you got the tickets. You got your ticket to the Jets game. I think you. How many games? We counted it down yesterday. Were you about 6 games away? Let me go to my college notes, just to kind of tell you. So, okay, I'm going back to my notes from game 1 for Lanoris Sellers. They played Virginia Tech. Super athletic. These are my notes for Lanoris Sellers. Super athletic, best athlete of all the quarterbacks. Can't take that sack for a safety. If Nussmeier played like he did last year, he would hands down be the top guy this year. That I agree with. I agree with that. I think even Cade Klubnik, if he would have came out last year, he could have been higher up on guys' board. But now him coming back is just not good. All right, let's go to my notes from week 2 for Lanoris Sellers. Joey Aguilar is a name I see rising. Joey Aguilar. Let me find that person. Give me just a second. I'm going to find him. All right, so this are my notes when they played South Carolina State. Defense and special teams dominated this game. Lanoris Sellers did have a great throw for a TD, but he only had 19 pass attempts. And I believe the touchdown he threw in that game, it was a deep ball. I think it was like 64 yards. That's week 2. Let's check out week 3. Week 3, he got knocked out the game. He was 6 or 7. He had an interception before he got knocked out the game. So I got to go sit and watch all of his film tonight on them playing Missouri. So his stats look okay, because I did look at his stats already. But I'm not just somebody who's taking other people's opinions. When I look at these QBs, I'm really breaking down all the tape and all the film on them, and I'm starting to see totally different things. Like, I'm really questioning how some of these guys were viewed like, oh, this is going to be the number 1 guy. Like Cade Klubnik, I'm like, it had to be times last year where people sped him up and he started making mistakes based on how he's making mistakes this year. Shedeur might be starting by the Jets. I agree. He might be starting by then, because I think we counted it down to 6 or 7 weeks away. 6 or 7 weeks away. So if Joe Flacco plays how I think he's going to play, he probably got 2 more games. You get 4 games to Gabriel. If he doesn't look markedly better, then you go to Shedeur. So I think that's in play. All right, Joey Aguilar, he's 24. Man, he'll be 25 going into next season if he has to come out. All right, let's get his stats up. Let's get him up. All right, so on the year, he has 1,100 yards, 12 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, QBR of 75, which is 32nd in the nation. All right. Okay. He's older. I don't know if I want a quarterback that's going to be 25 going into his rookie year, but I'll add him to the list. Marcel Reed. Yeah, I'll add Joy to the list. Oh, I didn't spell that right. Let's see. Texas Tech sophomore. I haven't watched him. So when I set up the quarterbacks I'll be following, I did a search of the top quarterbacks who were draft eligible, where it was consensus they were on ESPN's board, they were on CBS's board, they were on Mel Kiper's board. They were on Todd McShay's board. They were on Joe Clark's board. So that's how I got to the 8 that I actually watch and I break down every week. Sophomores, I haven't got to sophomores yet just because they're not draft eligible. But, I mean, his numbers look okay. Yeah, his numbers look okay. I haven't watched him though. See, I'm not like super deep into college football like I was saying earlier. So I'm looking at the draft eligible guys, the names that everybody knew. I also noticed that they are starting to pivot with who they are saying, to look out for. Like they're talking about the quarterback from Oklahoma. Quarterbacks who are having 15 plus rush attempts in a game, just me. Those quarterbacks, they're not going to be high on my board because that's just not realistic in the NFL unless you got Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen traits. If you don't have one of their traits, I'm not even looking at quarterbacks that run the ball that much. Not even looking at it. So, wait, he looks all right. His numbers aren't bad, but I would just be expanding my scope too wide because I'm already breaking down 8 games. I'm breaking down 8 games between Saturday and Monday night to be prepared for Tuesday. Then I'm also breaking down tape on the Browns going into Wednesdays so I can go through the all 22. Then I'm looking at when I'm not streaming towards the end of the week, I'm breaking down I'm looking at all 22 tape for whoever the Browns are going to go against. So I got to keep the number capped at where it's at. But I can take a look at these guys when they play against teams that I'm already viewing. So that's how I view it there. Let's get back to the Browns. That was some good talk about college. Tomorrow's show. Next up, QB edition, week 4, draft eligible QBs. That'll be all based on those 8 quarterbacks. I'll be breaking down what I see in them. So tomorrow's show will be all based on that. So definitely tap in tomorrow. I'll be talking college quarterbacks. Now for the Browns, let's look at this defense. Now I'm not really going to break down the offensive grades this week. I'm going to look at the top PFF grades for the Browns defense, and then we're going to look at the bottom 5 and see if there are any surprises or if there's anybody who, just kind of stood out. If anybody grade you believe doesn't match. So let's get this. Let's go here. All right, this is our defensive grades. So these are our top 5. We got Myles Garrett, number 1. His grade was a 91.6. Aiden Huntington, his grade was an 86.3. Malik Collins, he balled out. His grade was 85.7. Cameron Thomas, number 99, defensive end, his grade was an 83.2. And Shelby Harris, his grade was a 83. So if you just look at the top 5 PFF grades for the Browns, all of them being defensive linemen, you just see right there that the Browns defense was playing no games yesterday and their line was balling. Now let's look at the bottom 5. And it's crazy because the bottom 5, these aren't even like bad grades. It's only one that's kind of like a bad grade. So these are the bottom 5. You got Jerome Baker with the 34.2. Rayshon Jenkins, that's strong safety, 52.2. Miles Harden, 55.8. Greg Newsome, 62.1. And Dom Jones, number 37. He only played 4 snaps, 62.4. But anything in the 60s and up is a pretty solid PFF grade. So just seeing it there, that shows you how well the defense played. Defense balled out. This is a good victory Monday that we're going to enjoy as the week goes along. We're going to get more into how people are talking about it, what they're saying about the Browns, what they're saying about the quarterback position specifically. So for me, when it comes to quarterback, if you're gonna accept this type of game from Joe Flacco in a win, and you weren't calling it out and you were okay with it, I don't want to hear nothing when Joe Flacco plays just like this in a loss. So, like I showed y'all local Cleveland media, I showed y'all people who are talking about it. I'm just saying, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Another thing, if you've been a Browns fan before this year, this is going to be, I'm going to keep saying this, and this is going to kind of trigger some people. Does Joe Flacco look any better than Deshaun Watson did in this offense? That's the question. The answer is no. Joe Flacco looks very similar to Deshaun Watson in this offense. And now let's do this. Let's pull up Joe Flacco. Let's go Deshaun Watson first. Let's look up Deshaun Watson's first 3 games last year before he got injured. And then we're going to pull up Joe Flacco's games because it's more to what's actually happening. First 3 games for Deshaun Watson last year. The Browns defense reminded me of 2006 Bears team. Flacco playing that Rex Grossman role. 2006, they had really good linebackers in 2006. Really good linebackers. Did they have Julius Peppers in? Coming off the end? I think Carson Schwarzenegger is making a strong defensive rookie of the year argument. I agree with that, Kyler. So I stopped sports betting before we get back to Deshaun Watson. I stopped sports betting, and there's only one bet I wanted to make this year. I wanted to make a bet for Carson Schwarzenegger over 100 tackles. That's the only bet I wanted to make because that was the only thing I was looking at. I was like, man, from the preseason and just hearing how people spoke about him, that was the one person I wanted to make a bet. But I stopped sports betting. But that was the bet I was willing to take. And I think so far he definitely has an opportunity, defensive rookie of the year. I'm sorry, I got to throw this shot, but I'm going to throw it. Do y'all remember people were saying, oh, man, you got to take Abdul Carter and all these things? Now, I'm going to be the person that always asks the tough questions. Do you want Mason Graham and Carson Schwarzenegger, or do you want Abdul Carter? Because the Browns traded back. Everybody talks about the first round pick that we got for next year. But part of that trade was also the second round pick we got this year. And I believe us getting that additional second round pick early is the thing that allowed us to draft Carson Schwarzenegger and then double back and get Quinshon Judkins. So before the draft, everybody said you got to take Abdul Carter. Do you want Mason Graham and Carson Schwarzenegger or Abdul Carter? That is the question. I always got questions, y'all. Got you. Yeah, because I was thinking back. I mean, in the sense of their defense overcoming bad QB play. Zedric, got you. Because I was thinking, you saw me. I was thinking back. I was like, dang, I don't remember a prolific offense, but I definitely remember that defense. The Browns defense can mask a lot of things with this offense as long as the turnovers are limited or equal. If this team is going to lose the turnover battle, it's a wrap. Kyler, you with me? I was watching that Kansas City Chiefs and New York Giants game, and then I believe it was Brian Burns got injured, and they was like, oh, they're gonna move Abdul Carter to the outside and do this. And I'm like, I'm not seeing Abdul Carter flashing across the screen. I'm not seeing it. And actually, hot take, before we get to the Deshaun thing, since we're gonna talk about the draft, this is a hot take. But are y'all noticing that if you look at the top 10 picks, it's some question marks across the board in the top 10. Cam Ward, he's the Tennessee Titans guy, but they need a whole lot more for Cam Ward to really show what he's capable of. And Cam Ward makes some risky throws. When he threw that interception yesterday, it was an interception he didn't need to take. And when you had a success of throwing across your body for your first career touchdown, you get comfortable. And that interception he had yesterday, he didn't need to take it. That's number one. Travis Hunter. I'm a Travis Hunter fan. Jacksonville Jaguars do not know what they're doing with Travis Hunter. Did y'all see the highlight play where they threw that little short out route to Travis Hunter? He made the first guy miss with a cut. He made the second guy miss with a cut and got the first down. It's crazy that they are not starting him on defense and putting him in the slot on offense and just letting him destroy nickel cornerbacks. It's crazy what they're doing. Abdul Carter, we just kind of spoke on him a little bit. I'm not sure how Will Campbell is doing at tackle. It's hard to determine tackles what they're doing unless they give up a lot of sacks. Haven't heard much on Will Campbell. Mason Graham, we see the results we're getting back from him. Ashton Genty, question marks are out on him. So I'm not saying this to diss these people. I'm just saying this to say the way that you're used by your team is a big factor in how you start to grow as a player. And so far, I'm not upset with what the Browns did by trading back in the players that we got. So just wanted to say that because I'm not seeing these top 10 guys jump off the screen yet. Not seeing it. Yeah, Zedric, they aren't scheming Travis well at all. It's crazy. Like, Travis has two greatest strengths. It doesn't matter if he's playing cornerback or if he's playing receiver. His two biggest strengths are his short range quickness and his ball skills. So just being able to attack the ball, whether it's offense or defense. Two best abilities for him. And it's no way that you don't put him on all type of option routes. Is no way you don't have him on drag routes coming across. Is no way you're not doing this. And you don't just put him on the outside. Travis Hunter would be in the slot if I was running the Jaguars offense, because I would force their defense to say, we're going to double Travis, or you're going to go one-on-one with our receivers on the outside. Zedric, I agree with you. That trade with the Jags might have been the best outcome for the Browns. I agree. Because think about this. If we're saying the Browns don't know how to use and scheme open Isaiah Bond, they're not going to know how to use and scheme open Travis Hunter. They're not going to know how. It takes a creative mind to scheme that style of player open, and they just don't know how to do it. And the Jaguars are failing at scheming him open. And he should get 8 targets a game minimum. And if you use him out of the slot, that way, if you want to go into 12 personnel and you got 2 tight ends, 2 receivers, don't put him out there and waste that down. You know what I'm saying? Put him out there when you're going 11 personnel. Put him out there in 11 personnel and let him just dominate and wreck the middle of the field. Another thing is Trevor's just not that good. Ooh, it's coming in hot. Trevor has also regressed. He's underthrown Travis a lot. I agree. Trevor's not that good. He gets paid to be really good, but he is not that good. That's just what it is. My hot take, Travis Hunter is not great at one particular thing. He looks so good because he does so much just slightly above average. I got to think about that. I'm gonna make sure I don't have an emotional reaction to that. So let me think about this. Let me read this again. My hot take, Travis Hunter is not great at one particular thing, and he looks so good because he does so much just slightly above average. I don't think that's a bad description. I don't think that's at first, Kyler, you see how I had to put myself in check there? At first, I was ready to disagree. But when you really go back and think about it, would you say he is the fastest? He's not the slowest, but you wouldn't say he's the fastest. Super shifty. I'll give him that. If I had to say what are his best qualities, I would say, like I said, I would say his short range quickness, and I would say his ball skills, attacking the ball. So I don't disagree with you there. I do think he is a way better weapon than how he's being used so far. So I will say that. It's almost like, let me jump back in the college game for a second. So Clemson, their running back, number 8, I can't think of his last name right now. He used to be a receiver. They weren't giving him the ball. They moved him to running back. I think he's going to be a valuable chip in next year's draft class because the ways you can use him. Because you can line him up because he knows how to run routes. Also, he's a big kind of bruising running back. So guys like that, they got to go to the right system where people know how to use them. Like that Clemson running back, he goes to San Francisco, he's going to ball out. Travis Hunter. If Travis Hunter was in Kansas City, if Travis Hunter was in LA, if Travis Hunter was in Miami, they would get way more creative with how they use Travis Hunter. So I gotta agree with you. There. All right, let's look at Deshaun Watson's first 3 games, and then we're gonna compare these to Joe Flacco's first 3 games. And I want y'all to help me see the difference because I'm not seeing the difference. So this is Deshaun Watson's first game last year, 24 for 45, 169 yards. He had 1 TD, 2 interceptions. His rating was 51. QBR was 7. Jaguars, 22 of 34, 186 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions. QB rating of 78, QBR of 32. New York Giants, 21 of 37, 196 yards, 2 touchdowns. Rating of 89, QBR of 17. Now let's go Joe Flacco. Let's look at his game log. All right. Game 1, 31, 45, 290 yards, 1 TD, 2 interception, 75 rating, 44 QBR. If you are comparing those two, you must be really in trouble. I'm bringing the darkness to the light by comparing these two. Game 2, 25-45, 199 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception, rating of 65, QBR 29. Game 3, 21-36, 142 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, rating of 55, QBR 40. It's not that much difference. The difference was Deshaun Watson actually threw more touchdowns, and that's it. His ratings were a little bit higher. The reason why I'm comparing these two is to show that last year, at this point, everybody called for Deshaun Watson to not be starting anymore. When you look at Joe Flacco's numbers, how are they not calling for Joe Flacco to not be starting anymore? Joe Flacco's numbers are worse. His numbers are worse. So I like to push pressure points. This is me pushing the pressure point. So all week when everybody talks about we got to keep Joe Flacco in as a starter, this is what I'm going to go back to. I'm just going to go back to what people previously said about similar or slightly better quarterback play. So this is to hold people's feet to the fire. He would just launch it. So Watson wasn't afraid to throw the ball further than 7 yards. At times, he would just take the deep shot. They would call the deep shot. He would just take it. And it wouldn't always equal a completion, but it forced the defense to at least respect it. Joe Flacco, I have not seen him throw the ball more than 40 air yards. I believe I was looking at next gen stats in game 1. I think it was 32 yards was his longest air yards. And then, actually, let me not guess. Let's not guess. Let's see. Next gen stats is going to be here. Let me just pull it up real quick. Let's see where stats at. So I'm just doing this to show how people are viewing this, and it's insane that they are not. It's insane that they are not critiquing these things the same way. Man, they don't even have Joe Flacco on the top. I gotta go this the long way. Cleveland, Green Bay. All right, so this is his longest completed pass. Air yards for Joe Flacco was 27 yards in this game. Let's look at week 2. His longest completion was 38 air yards in week 2. Let's go week 1. His longest completion was 32 air yards. So it's that steady diet of throwing the ball deep is just not there. And for us to build on Quinshon Judkins' running game, you got to stretch the defense, and you got to have the defense thinking at some point you could potentially throw the ball deep. And Joe Flacco is not offering that. And I'm only highlighting these things because people are going to be defending him all week, and I'm not going to be in the camp of defending Joe Flacco, his performance, and what he's done. I'm just not going to be in that camp. So it don't look good, but when you really look at the stats after 3 weeks, Joe Flacco is not that much different than what Deshaun Watson offered last year. So I know people don't want to they don't want to hear that, because last year Kevin Stefanski could blame Ken Dorsey. Who are you blaming this year, Kevin? Who are you blaming this year? So I appreciate y'all. This has been a great show. Good Victory Monday. We went to some different topics, get into the college game. So this has been really good. Offtharecorddee, Eliminate the Gray, anywhere you get your podcast. Also, I will be live. I haven't picked the time yet, but I'll get a schedule soon. I'll be live tomorrow morning, just breaking down the college quarterbacks and what we've seen. Those top eight are, let's put the graphic up again. These are the top 8 that I'll be going over. Drew Aller was on a bye week this week, so it'll be actually a top 7 this week. Cade Klubnik, Arch Manning, Sam Levitt, Garrett Nussmeier, Lanoris Sellers, Fernando Mendoza, and Carson Beck. Those will be the quarterbacks I'll be going over. I'm breaking down their film, telling you what they do good, what they do bad, and we're going to get to it. So remember, when I'm breaking down these quarterbacks, it's not just based on stats, and it's not just, based on, oh, this person put up 5 touchdowns, but they were playing a high school team. So shout out to y'all. This has been another great episode. Y'all participation make this even better. So I'll catch y'all in the next one. We'll be back tomorrow. So like, comment, subscribe so you can tap in and catch me the next time I go live. Peace.